Hello, everyone. Welcome to Online Seller UK podcast. My name is Prabhat, founder at Online Seller UK. And today I've got a really interesting topic, which is eBay search engine optimization. And I'm joined by an expert in eBay SEO. So welcome to our podcast.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Excellent. So do you want to introduce yourself and your company and what sort of things you do?
Yeah, so I'm Dave Snyder, and ListRank Sell is the only SEO agency dedicated specifically to the eBay marketplace. So search engine optimization is a fairly misunderstood concept within, in my opinion, within e-commerce. Most people, when they're talking about optimization, are talking about conversion optimization. So what happens once the person comes to the listing? Do they make a purchase? Okay, things like your price, although price does impact search, but your images, your policies, those kinds of things, making the listing as detailed as possible so that people actually buy it. Search optimization, on the other hand, is interested in the first part of the journey, which does the potential buyer find your listing in the first place. So SEO in general, you can optimize anything. You can optimize a video, you can optimize a web page, you can optimize even a photo. And your intention is that someone who's looking for that finds it in search. And specifically within the marketplace environment, you're looking to rely less heavily on paid ads and more on organic rankings, improving your rankings. And so that's what, specifically, primarily we're optimizing the eBay listing. You can optimize the store itself, but there's not a whole lot of steps to do that. But the vast majority of the focus is getting the listing to rank well on its own within eBay search and then secondarily within Google.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit more, dive into a little bit more details about eBay sort of thing. So while optimizing the eBay listings, what are the key things that you normally focus on?
So not the item description. Okay. The item description text is not read by Cassini, eBay's search engine. So primarily we're looking at the data. So data is more important than keywords at this point. Keywords are kind of the gravy. There are certain circumstances where the data requirements by eBay are not terribly robust, and as a result, we have to depend primarily on the title. But for the most part, eBay structured data internally, which is driven primarily by category, and then secondarily by item specifics. Usually people are talking item specifics. The problem is if you're filling in your item specifics and you have the wrong category, and by wrong I mean not eBay's back end category. Okay, so there's the best fit category, which is the most logical. There's the back end category, which is the one that eBay associates with the primary search phrase specific to the item. And so if I'm listing an automotive seal and eBay considers that to be molding, even though seals and moldings are different, I have to put it in moldings. Otherwise, my visibility will be quite weak, or in some cases almost non-existent. So category really, eBay relies extremely heavily on its taxonomy to drive visibility. And for the most part, our conversations, what we hear, everything I read is focused, if we're even talking about data, because a lot of times we're not, we're still assuming that you can just optimize the title. Well, you got 80 characters, you all use all the 80 characters and you're good to go. Not at all. Not at all.
So with the topic of categories, I see some sellers, they put product onto two different categories where it's not random category. They are right two categories. So
yeah.
So is there an advantage on that as well?
So that depends entirely on whether there are multiple categories that are potentially, so the back end category is not always easy to discern. Sometimes it's very clear. Okay, sometimes we know exactly what category it goes in. Other times it's far more difficult to determine that. And in those cases, if there are two categories which are potentially accurate, depending on the client, sometimes we will. It just depends on it. It's very oftentimes, if we're going to use two categories, we'll only do that for certain categories. And we'll discuss that with the client. In some cases, they're not paying for the extra second category. A lot of times they are. And so it's not an automatic thing, that's for sure. I wouldn't say be in two categories and that's going to automatically improve your search visibility. It's really case by case. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So I know you were talking a little bit on the titles and 80 characters and on that.
Yeah.
So how important it is to optimize the title itself, and how do you actually do it?
So our process utilizes, we have the list rank cell algorithm that I devised several years ago. So we've been doing this since I started doing eBay SEO consulting in 2013, but started studying eBay search in 2010. And the agency's been around now for 3 years. It gives us an opportunity to write and so on. And back then, the title was really key. And at this stage, like I mentioned earlier, it's more of a cleanup process. If let's say you're selling a wheel rim and you put in your title that it's 16 inches by 7-inch wheel rim. If you don't have that in the right category, and a lot of the third-party software will do strange things. Like there's a third-party software that a lot of automotive sellers use. I won't mention them. But they will oftentimes put the item in the wrong category, like not a logical category. And the client won't know that. But because they're not really looking at that, they're assuming, well, it's in an automotive category, it should be fine. eBay doesn't actually know that the item is a wheel rim specifically from the title. It knows it from the taxonomy, and it knows it from certain item specifics fields. And so, yes, I mean, we are very interested in finding phrases that our competition is not using, but our buyers are searching. So it's driven by search intent, by what buyers are actually searching versus looking at competitors. I don't care about what competitors are using from a keyword standpoint in terms of choosing a keyword. What I want to find are phrases that are specific to that item that our competition is by and large not using, and that's what the algorithm looks for, is those phrases, primarily those phrases that describe the item. So number one, they have to describe the item. But then number two, they have to be actually the ones searched by your buyers. And a lot of times that's not, sellers believe that they know what people are searching. Unless you do the research, unless you look at eBay's autocomplete database and find out what buyers are searching specifically. Some categories are going to be very brand specific. Some of them surprisingly are not on eBay. Buyer search behavior is definitely different between Google and eBay. So if you just looking at what people search on Google, you're going to get a lot of informational search data, because it's all product. On eBay, everything that's being searched on eBay is a product search. And so you have to see it that way. And you have to understand that, if someone's looking to help, they've got a sore ankle and they want to search, ankle pain relief. If they're searching that on eBay, they're not looking for an article. They're looking for a product. And so you have to, determining search intent is extremely important, and knowing what your buyers might mean. There's this there's this conflict, I guess you'd call it, within the eBay community over the word vintage. Vintage being kind of a useless word in some people's minds because it doesn't really have a meaning anymore. But if it has a bearing on what the buyer intends, then it is a valuable term. So in a lot of cases, the word vintage is simply used to differentiate between a new version and an old one. You know, there's a number of clients we've had that sell like reproduced versions of something that's old. And we had a client that tried to get into they're called challenge coins. And the vintage challenge coins do super well. Well, these were new ones intended for people to give out in the office environment. And I was very sketchy as I didn't think it was going to work, and it didn't. Not all eBay SEO campaigns are successful, and we're a lot better now at determining what we think the market is. You know, we have to measure the market. Will the market? eBay's not the place for the early adopter. You know, that's not the, you know, if you've got something that the market isn't familiar with, eBay's not the place for that. You really need to know, is there a market, not just in general, but on eBay for this before you enter it, in my opinion, and certainly before you pay for an eBay SEO campaign. But just back to that word vintage real quickly. If the item is old, and so in the case with the challenge coins, in order to differentiate the new ones, let's say that new ones start to fill the marketplace, you know, and you're seeing more and more of them, then it may be necessary to differentiate your old one from the new version, because the buyer is going to search vintage simply in order to see the old ones. And so it's, again, it has to describe the item, but it doesn't have to always be precise. And I think that's where a lot of sellers get hung up on, is they're too precise with the title. And a lot of people, there's still a lot of very broad search behavior on eBay, and you can, if you've got enough listings, you can achieve what we call search page domination by using the phrases that your buyers are searching as opposed to what sellers think their buyers are searching.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you've given us good insight in the categories and the titles and so on. So for somebody to take on the optimization side, so or when you work with the clients, do you use any automated tools to help them?
Again, that depends. If the clients were using third-party software, in general, we have to do the optimization within that software. Mm-hmm. And so I don't believe in automated SEO. You know, I don't think you can. I mean, every listing is going to be treated as an individual listing. Mm-hmm. Every listing has to be optimized for itself. And obviously you can build off of other listings if they're similar, but just differ in some minor way. But, you know, other than, you know, keyword tools like Keyword Tool Dominator is a fantastic, it collects all of the major marketplaces, autocomplete databases and individually, and you can just pay for them by marketplace. And so you're seeing that search bar at the top of eBay when you start to type something in and you see phrases that appear. Those are coming from that database. That's being collected specifically by eBay from past search behavior. Keyword Tool Dominator is the only one I'm aware of that pretty much collects all of that. So you can get everything that's being searched. And that's also very, very beneficial in the pay-per-click arena, which is fairly new to eBay. But yeah, it's definitely something that SEO is a practice. It's not, you know, it's treated in a lot of ways and in e-commerce as a very small piece of the puzzle. For us, it's the entire thing, and we see significant. We've seen increases in net sales year over year, looking at a quarter, by well over 200% repeatedly, solely from optimizing the listings for search visibility.
So the time and effort that you put in does pay out eventually for you. So
generally speaking, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
so,
again, not every campaign is successful, and we don't take every client. And you know, in the early days, we took pretty much anybody, but now there are qualifications, and we have to, on our end, measure first of all that the market is strong enough to respond to it. Yeah. So, but for the most part these days, we don't have any campaigns that aren't at least improving it better than the client expected.
Absolutely. So I think that's been really valuable chat, Dave. So thank you for your time today. So if somebody is to find you and want to talk to individual cases, so where's the best place to get to?
So it's listranksell.com, and you just go to our contact page, send us a message, and we'll get right back to you.